Sometimes when I talk to other business owners, people who've been in the industry for a while, for example, I was spending some time chatting with my buddy Pat Beath the other day. It'll get mentioned that this person or that person in our industry who coach other business owners have borrowed some things from me. And how we know they've borrowed it, I mean, they're using the exact same terminology that maybe I coined 15 years ago, or they're doing something with the exact same style and format and don't really tweak things very much. And, in some ways, I think somebody could probably get upset about that or worked up about it. But frankly, for the most part, I'm kind of flattered, right? Because these guys, I think, are out there doing pretty good work. And if they learned something from me that propelled them into a position that allowed them to be successful, I think that's good because, frankly, I didn't invent a whole lot of stuff either. I didn't really borrow from people in our industry because when I got into this industry, there were only a couple people doing like business coaching for offline businesses, or maybe they called it consulting. There was a guy, well, maybe a couple guys doing stuff in the health club space, one who later moved into the training landscape, and there was one who's kind of prominent in the training side. And then there were a couple other guys, my friend Eric Ruth, who did a lot in just direct response marketing, but not the business as a whole. And then Ryan Lee had gained a lot of traction doing stuff with just online. And there just wasn't a whole lot to borrow from in our industry. So I went out and started studying people like Dan Kennedy and Jay Abraham for business and marketing. I studied some people from other industries. I really enjoyed things like Lee Cockrell, who was executive VP at Disney, for how they handled hospitality, client experience or customer experience, and some of the operational stuff. When I wanted to learn more about branding and storytelling, my good friend and at one point business partner, Nick Nanton, was a great resource. So I went outside and studied a lot of people outside our industry, but I certainly didn't invent things. I just learned things and adapted them to our landscape. And when we started franchising, we had a lot of conversions. Well, nobody had really done that in the fitness industry, but I could go look at other industries like Health Source Chiropractic did in chiropractic, like Midas muffler shops did in auto repair, and they did a lot of conversion. So I could borrow from other places. And the reason I wanted to tell you this is because, frankly, I think that's smart business. I think that you should learn from other people. I mean, you'd be silly not to go and learn from Mike Boyle or Eric Cressy or Mike Robertson about becoming a better coach, or Mike Roussel about coaching nutrition, or going and picking up expertise when it comes to whatever you're interested in, whether it's business from me or hospitality from the various people who are in that lane. But you also should be compelled to adapt things to you, your unique circumstances, your individual preferences and goals. And I think that's something that I've enjoyed through the years. I've enjoyed looking at really insightful things from people far smarter than me and saying, well, how do I adapt that to what I want, to my strengths, to my landscape? And so if you're not doing that, you're missing an opportunity. And so many people, they do one or the other. They just try to do everything themselves. They look at a blank page and then they struggle to get things done. So much trial and error. Or they just become a bad imitation of somebody else. They just knock off whatever ad that somebody else is running and clone the image. They use AI and create some other version of a stock photo, and the copy's exactly the same. Or they model the exact pricing of the other group training gyms in their market. So I think that you learn from other people, you can model them and really gain a lot of ground and not have to start from scratch. But you should adapt things to you. You should be willing to evolve and iterate until you get to something you're like, no, this fits me. This fits my personality. This fits my market. This fits. I mean, if you're in a different market, like I grew up in a small town of like 20,000 people. If I wanted to borrow something from a major metropolitan area, I was going to have some adaptations, right? I was going to have to change the pricing. I was going to have to change the way that it was marketed, the language that was used to be appropriate for that respective market. And I think that's part of the fun of being a business owner. I think that you can add your own individuality, but you should borrow from what works, because there are people that went before you that have done some things. I mean, I get the biggest kick out of, I'll have somebody who's kind of newer to the industry and they'll say, well, you got this from this person. I'm like, well, that person was a customer of mine in like 2007 before they started coaching business owners. But I mean, I can't really begrudge the person they're referencing, because they learned, they applied, they adapted to them in most cases, and they've built some success from it. And you can too. You can go out here. You shouldn't clone Mike Boyle. You shouldn't clone Eric Cressy, but you certainly should learn from them. You should certainly learn what Mike Robertson's doing and saying, how do I adapt that to me? How do I make that fit for my market? And if you do, you're going to go faster. You're going to make fewer mistakes. You're going to save on the potential investments or the potential expenses that you would have, because you'll make more right decisions. So if you're not borrowing from people who have gone before you, I would encourage you to start. I would encourage you to lean on things that have been proven and time tested and durable, not just a flash in the pan. Oh, this has worked for one person in one market for 1 week. But if somebody's been around in your market for a number of years and they're doing a good job, then there's something to learn. If somebody's been in a similar market and they've had their 10-year anniversary and the owner's doing well and their clients are happy, learn from that person, learn from other industries that have been around a while. And you're going to take some of these lessons that will allow you just to go faster and further than you probably ever thought possible.